We're gonna welcome people now.
Welcome them to this.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Life's Dream number 104. It's called Jokes. Why not? Keep them laughing, right?
We have run out of material.
So let me just ask you to start it off. What is the similarity between a Jewish mother and 60 Minutes?
And for me,
It was too true.
it is too true.
So
My mom, she would walk through the house and she'd see a table with square corners, and she'd go, because she wasn't allowed to complain, but no one could stop that tongue.
So Corky's going to take it away.
I'm going to take it away. Let me get to the piano.
You grab the coffee and
Okay, I'm getting over to the piano.
Here we go.
See you at the piano. I can see you're still with me. You would tell me if that weren't true. You never let me down. You'd care for me just like you used to. Ah, but I've been wrong about some things in my life. Am I wrong about you? Oh, you never slip out on me like some other woman do. And you never cheat on me. You don't expect to have your cake and eat it too. Ah, but I've been wrong about some things in my life. Am I wrong about you? slip out on me like some other woman do. You never cheat on me. You don't expect to have your cake and eat it too. Ah, but I've been wrong about some things in my life. Am I wrong about? Story time.
A man decides to go to his doctor. And he said, you know, I'm really here because I have a serious question about my wife. Her hearing is failing, and I know that she won't come in, and I know that she won't believe me, but I'm wondering if you have any idea, any suggestion of what you could do to help me out, because she's not hearing anything I say. And the doctor said, I have a really good solution for you. And I'll tell you what to do. So the man says, great. So he goes home and he's really happy because he's got this great plan, right, that his doctor has given him. And so he comes through the front door and he goes, honey, I'm home. What's for dinner? Nothing, just as he expected, you know, nothing. She doesn't hear him. He takes off his coat, puts it in the closet, and he's standing in the living room and he's saying, hi, honey, I'm home. What's for dinner? Not a word, no answer, nothing. So then he goes into the kitchen and his wife is there cooking over the stove. And he says, hi, honey, what's for dinner? And she turns around and says, chicken, chicken, chicken. I told you 3 times already.
Of course, we have to laugh at our own joke.
Okay, Corky, it's your turn.
It's my turn. Okay, let me see. Well, let me see what was next, because we have them in order. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I have 4 jokes, all in a row. No, 1, 2, 3 jokes. Well, no.
4 jokes.
2 jokes that are similar.
Okay.
So the first one we've told a lot this year. Lynn Jordan's favorite. And I've included this in so many live streams, but it fits with it. So anyway, there's a guy taking a shower, and he looks in the bottom of the shower, and there's a snail. So he picks up the snail, he opens his front door, and he throws it as far as he can. 3 years later, there's a knock at the door. He opens the door and there's the snail. So what was that all about? So a similar joke was the joke that Max Gale told. Now, Max Gale is an award-winning actor who's just the most amazing guy. Poet, musician, philosopher, just incredible. And he said he had a joke for us, and this is our favorite joke. He said he had a joke for us, and we paid attention. When a poet is going to tell a joke, you got to pay attention. So he said and you'll notice that Holly and I, we take these long jokes and we make them very short. We like getting to the punchline.
It's the introduction that we make longer.
Right. So this guy's driving along and he sees a sign in the front of a farmhouse. Talking dog for sale. So he's very curious. He goes in there. The farmer sends him to the back, and in the back he goes and he sees what is supposed to be the talking dog. And he says, "Hey, I understand you can talk." And the dog said, "Yep." He said, "Well, how did that happen?" And the dog started talking. He says, "Well, when I was a little puppy, I started noticing people talking. I was mesmerized. And I just started listening closer and closer. And one day I said to myself, you know what? I bet I could do that." So I started studying very, very hard. And I must say, I've really acquired quite the sophisticated vocabulary. Soon after, I was discovered by the CIA, who sent me around the world. And here I am, sitting in castles and mansions of heads of state, being scratched behind the ears by all the heads of state and kings. I lived the life of romance, intrigue, adventure. And then one day, I just got tired of it, and I decided to retire right here in my backyard. So the guy goes to the farmer. He says, "How much for that dog?" The farmer says, $10. He went, $10 for that dog? And the farmer said, "Yeah, he's a liar. He's never been out of the yard." So that was that joke. Okay, so do you have one? Why don't you tell these? You got two really good Jewish mother jokes and one good general Jewish joke.
Okay. Go.
And since we're Jewish, it's okay.
Yes. So, Mrs. Goldstein, of course, and Mrs. Cohen,
Of course.
happened to meet in the park. And Mrs. Goldstein is wheeling her pram through the park. And Mrs. Cohen says, "Oh my goodness, the babies, they've gotten so big. I can't believe it. They just shoot up overnight, don't they?" And Mrs. Goldstein, "Yes, they certainly do. I mean, it just seems like yesterday they were in my arms as babies." And Mrs. Goldstein said, "Well, how old are they now?" And so she said, "Well, the doctor is 2 and the lawyer is 3.
And then the 3 Jewish women.
So there were 3 Jewish women. They're playing mahjong together. And the first Jewish woman, the first woman says, "Oy, oy vey, And she turns to the second one. And the second one says, "Oi, oi." And the third one turns to the other two and says, "Oi vey schmear." And the first one said, "Ladies, ladies, I thought we promised not to talk about the children." So this is a true story. Corky's uncle Yale was trying to help me with my Yiddish. And I would tell him things like, Uncle Yale, Corky is hawking me all the way to China. And he would go, no, he's hawking to China. and so it would go on like that, right? And so we're at our meditation center, and my friend Claudia says to me, "So, Holly, do you want to catch a movie after meditation?" And I said, "Oh, sorry, Claudia, I can't go with you. I have to sit Shiva. One of Corky's relatives just passed away, and we have to go sit Shiva." And she says, "Holly, darling, you're not going to sit Shiva." I said, "I'm not?" She said, "No, you're sitting Shiva. You're sitting Shiva." And I said, "Well, what do you expect from a Shih Tzu?"
Okay.
Your turn.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So this is the classic rabbi and priest joke. And the rabbi and priest made a pact because they were talking about the afterlife all the time. And they wished they could know more about the afterlife. So they made a pact that they would study mental telepathy so they could read each other's minds. And if one of them died, the other one on earth would try and contact them. So the rabbi dies. And the priest is contacted by the rabbi. Moshe, what's it like? What's it like? And Moshe says, it's beautiful. I wake up every morning, have a little sex, have a cup of tea and some breakfast, take a nice little walk, have some sex, take a nap, wake up, have some lunch, walk around for a while, have some sex. Soon it's time for dinner. I have a beautiful dinner. Have some sex and watch the sunset, go to sleep. The next morning I wake up, watch the sun rise, and the priest interrupts and said, Moshe, heaven sounds beautiful. And Moshe says, what do you mean heaven? I'm a buffalo in Wyoming. So here, this is my favorite all-time musician's joke. There's some good ones. But this one was told to me, and I've told this story before, but it's worth telling again. The great, honorable master, god of the violin, Dr. L. Subramaniam, invited me to play with him at what was then called Orchestra Hall. It's now called Symphony Center. And Vishnu Mohan Bhatt was on the show, and it was just an amazing thing. And I actually turned it down a few times because I'm a blues harmonica player, but he really wanted to bring a blues harmonica player in. And that's what happened. And our friend Jim Bessman is actually the one from Billboard magazine who suggested to Subramaniam when he came to Chicago that he should contact me. So anyway, I decided I was going to do it. So here we are about to meet Dr. L. Subramaniam for the first time. And I was with Holly, but I was very, very intimidated. And the first thing is he's in a cab and he has us get in the back of the cab and he sits in shotgun. And he turns around and he says, "I got a joke for you." Here it is, Dr. L. Subramaniam, and one of the first things is he's got a joke for us. And he said, "This joke was told to me by Yehudi Menuhin." So now we're talking about a joke, sort of in the same frame as the talking dog joke from Max Gale. We're talking about a joke that has a lineage from Yehudi Menuhin to Dr. L. Subramaniam and now to a harmonica player. Two violinists met on the corner. One said to the other, "So how you doing?" And the other violinist said, "Well, now that you ask, not so bad. I just played a concert in Lincoln Center. Almost a completely filled auditorium, standing ovation, amazing concert. I was just signed to RCA Records, and my record is expected to come out soon. And, now that you mention it, I was in church not too long ago. And I played so beautifully that the statue of the Virgin Mary actually shed a tear." He goes, "So how are you doing?" He says, "Well, now that you ask, not so bad. I just played Carnegie Hall. Sold out in advance. They had to add 3 shows. Standing ovations during the performances. I was also signed by a record. I was signed by Columbia Records. The record just came out. It's like a major hit. They're adding me to a 5-year contract. And now that you mention it, I was also playing in church. And Jesus himself came down and said, 'Thank you for not making my mother cry.'" I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So that's that. Okay, do you have one? Okay.
So, why do Jewish men have short necks?
Is that the best you can do?
Well, I had a graphic design little company with 2 other girls, and we got this project from Sears, and we were hired to redo a project that another firm had done. And so they needed the project rapidly because they had lost time, because they're now having to redo something that someone else has done. And they came in and they were laughing, and we didn't know. We thought, well, they're very happy clients, I guess. So they said, "Well, if you only knew the reason that we had to redo this project." And they began to explain the project. They said, "Well, Sears, they're coming up with this new product where you can buy the paint and the fabric and the wallpaper and everything color coordinated that anyone, a non-professional interior decorator, any homeowner could come in and purchase something that would be beautifully coordinated and designed by using this system of buying the wallpaper that went with a particular paint and had the fabric. And they were calling this whole new project that they were unveiling Sears Home Interior Textures. And the mistake that they didn't want us to make was that the former designers, what they had done for the logo of this project was they took the first letter of each word and put it in a color box, right? So it was, and stacked the words, right? So it was Sears, cap S, in a color box, home, cap H in a color box, interior under that in a color box, and textures in a color box. And I'll just leave it to you to figure out what that spelled out.
And why they were fired.
200 pages in color on a catalog.
And along those lines, and now you'll have to tell your children to hold their ears because I use a bad word. But this is a story I've told a couple times this year, and it was about our Siegel Schwal's road manager, equipment manager, who is an 18-year-old kid. Long story, I'll make the long story short. But he was from Venezuela. I met him on the street. He could barely speak English. And so when we hired him, we would, Orlando and I, Orlando is Diaz Cadena. Orlando, as a matter of fact, this joke I've told so many times and it's so well loved. I'm sorry, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. Let me scratch that. This story is so well loved and I've told it so many times. And Orlando would call me Corcho. All of a sudden I got the name Corcho, and for years and years and years and years, no one called me Corky anymore. Everyone called me Corcho. So Orlando and I are driving along, and I'd help him with his language, his English. He'd say, Corcho, how you say, because he knew some street language, but other than that, he really didn't speak English. So he said, Corcho, how you say let's split? And I'd say, for let's split, Orlando, we can say let's go or let's leave. And it went on like that. And another day we'd be doing something. You'd say, Corcho, how you say I'm hip? And I'd say, for I'm hip, Orlando, you could say, I know or I understand. One day he's up at my little apartment on Argyle Street in Uptown. And there's a whole bunch of people around. My friend Peter Schillies, who produced some Siegel Schwal albums, was there. Some members of the band, probably Rollo and Shelley and Jim. And we're all sitting around having a good time, but Orlando was in the corner. And he's very busy writing a letter to his mother in Venezuela. And one moment he looks up and he says, Corcho, how you say? Okay, you ready? Is it shit or is it piss? And I go, everyone just starts cracking up and rolling on the floor. And I go, Orlando, you're writing your mother a letter and you want to know if it's shit or if it's piss? And he says, yes, Corcho, I need another shit of paper or a piss of paper. Absolutely true story. We are still laughing. This was 1971. We are still laughing about this. So along those same lines, we were last year, right before the pandemic, Chamber Blues went to Mexico to do a jazz festival. And the contract that they sent me was like that thick, and it sort of made me responsible for everything. If we couldn't cross the border, if some fellow at the border had a bad day and just decided not to let us in, I'd be responsible for all the advertising and everything. So I wrote in the contract that they're the producers and they should be responsible for everything. And if anything goes wrong, they should just consider it. You know the term force majeure, which means act of God, right? So I wrote, if anything goes wrong, we will consider it force manure, or S happens. And I have it in all my contracts. I will show you an image of that. So force, and I sent it to all my lawyers. They loved it. Force manure. Well,
thanks for joining us.
that was story time with jokes.
And so we will see you on the Zoom. And you can reach the Zoom at corkymusic.com/stream.
We've done this 104 times before.
And so join us on Tuesday for a special 1-year anniversary. And we're going to
have breakfast with Ernie again.
Breakfast with Ernie.
Like we did 1 year ago.
So get those Bloody Marys, those mimosas, those coffees and cocos ready. 105 1-year anniversary is going to be very special. Breakfast with Ernie
Watts.
So we'll see you on Tuesday.
Or the Zoom right after.
Or the Zoom right
now.
after. Right now, in fact.
Yeah, okay.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye.